This is Common Sense Radio. Straightforward and no excuses.
All right. Come on now.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
Call me crazy.
Oh, yeah.
What I said was perfectly right and spot on accurate.
Boy's got a mouth like a cannon, always shooting it all.
Stop. Yeah, stop. I mean, you're way off script.
Got it in me. Gonna quit until it all comes out.
Hey, boy!
Been a long education.
Yeah, you know, it's not cynical. It's common sense.
Pay attention to me when I'm talking to you.
I'm gonna rock the nation. Rock the nation.
Genuine, accountable, and raw. Here is Steve Gruber.
All right, it's 6 after the hour on this Tuesday, and I just can't get enough bacon today and the discussion of bacon and meat products, and it just seems that the narrative it's so predictable. You know, farming has been under attack. Farming has been under attack for quite some time and accused of everything from, you know, abusing animals to creating global warming because of bovine flatulence. Apparently cows pass gas. Go figure. And if you've ever been to Mackinac Island, riding in a taxi, I can guarantee you the horses pass gas. It'll blow your hair right back. Yeah, I saw you laugh there. You thought that was cute. Yeah, that's my impersonation of a horse on Mackinac Island. Yeah, at any rate, the Des Moines Register put this article out. The Des Moines Register from Iowa, the nation's leading producer of pork, bacon, hot dogs, and other processed meat cause cancer, and consumption of red meat likely, this is the beautiful part, likely contributes to the deadly disease. No cause and effect, no for sure, no anything. That from the World Health Organization. That report came out yesterday, as you know. The determination by the WHO and its research on cancer, the latest group to criticize the meat industry, the conclusion reached by 22 researchers who reviewed some 800 studies. Now, the international agency did not provide any recommendations on how much meat is too dangerous. It said the risks of getting cancer increased as more processed red meat was eaten. So here's what they said. Every additional 50 grams of processed meat eaten daily, that's about 2 strips of bacon or 1 hot dog. So it would increase your risk of colorectal cancer by 18%. So if kids are eating hot dogs, say a couple a day, it's going to increase the risk of colorectal cancer by 36%. Balderdash. I guess all the kids going to the ballpark with their kids eating a couple of hot dogs here and there, they're all at risk of having colorectal cancer. Come on. Common sense, boys and girls. And in Iowa, it's particularly troubling. They have big events like, Bacon Fest, and they make giant world record-setting pork tenderloin sandwiches. The North American Meat Institute said the conclusion reached by the World Health Organization panel defies both common sense and numerous studies that show no correlation between meat and cancer and highlight the health benefits of meat as part of a balanced diet because of the protein, especially important for men. Pork consumption, by the way, has been stable over the past couple of decades, with the average person eating about 44 pounds in 2013. Ruth McDonald from the Iowa State University Food Science and Human Nutrition Department said the WHO's findings would spur further discussion about how much meat should be consumed. You know, red meat is evil, they say. Processed meat is evil. Then I guess I'm going to go hunting. Deer, elk, moose. But again, that's inherently evil, too, because oftentimes there's a gun involved, and the lefties don't want you to have a gun to go hunting because that's just not right either. At some point you just got to say enough. There's a correlation, possibly. I mean, it's probably one of those deals. You have to eat how many pounds of bacon? How many pounds of bacon do you have to eat, or hot dogs, or processed meat? And sure, if that's all you eat, if you eat a pound of processed pepperoni every day, there's probably a whole lot of health risk involved. But it's not just the meat. What else are the people consuming that eat that sort of a diet? It's a very complex disease, some of which is genetically has a genetic predisposition to occur. Others are environmental in nature. smoking cigarettes will make you sick. Over time, it's a poison, a very, very slow poison, are cigarettes. Anyhow, let's see here. China, shifting gears now to our foreign policy. And China is warning the United States after Navy ships passed those disputed man-made islands in the South China Sea. The foreign ministry there reacting angrily earlier today. The ministry said that authorities monitored and warned the guided missile destroyer USS Lassen as it moved inside what China claims is a 12-mile territorial limit around Subi Reef in the Spratly Islands archipelago. That's a disputed group of hundreds of reefs, little islands, atolls, all in the South China Sea, claimed by the Philippines. A defense official told the AP the patrol was approved by the White House and took place without incident. The actions of the United States warship have threatened China's sovereignty and security interests, jeopardized the safety of personnel and facilities on the reefs, and damaged regional peace and stability, said the ministry. The Chinese side expresses its strong dissatisfaction and resolute opposition. Meanwhile, the Philippines welcomed the sail passed by the USS Lassen, calling it a way of helping maintain a balance of power. Now, since 2000, you've probably heard this. This began in 2013. The Chinese went out there. There were these reefs that would submerge during high tide. So they did this massive dredging operation and turned these sometimes submerged reefs into exposed islands, 3 of them so far, and then put on huge military airstrips, big enough to handle the heaviest bombers and fighter jets they have. And then declared that they have a 12-mile radius around these man-made, formerly non-existent islands. According to the U.S., we are conducting routine operations in the South China Sea in accordance with international law. The senior defense official said that late Monday. We will fly, sail, and operate anywhere in the world that international law allows. International law permits military vessels the right of innocent passage in transiting other countries' seas without notification. The Navy's plan to send a destroyer near the Spratly Islands was first reported by Reuters. About 30% of the world trade passes through the South China Sea. You see, it's a hell of a lot more important than the Suez Canal, if you follow. And I think you do. So, I mean, I give credit to this administration for saying, listen, we're not going to be kowtowed. But then again, it's not much of a challenge either. It's pretty minor, to say the least. It's reasonably minor, to say the least. And at any rate, this part of the program brought to you by Consumers Mutual Insurance. Consumers Mutual, a different kind of insurance because it's a co-op. It's the insurance I chose for myself and my family. Find out more at consumersmutual.org. You can also find out more by checking out stevegruber.com, where you can listen live at work with a click of the Listen Live button. You can also find older programs that have been archived for you and specific interviews if you want to go to the podcast, powered by Podbean. It's all at stevegruber.com. We'll be right back.
Covering Michigan and the world from his bunker below the bridge. Here is Steve Gruber.
It's 18 after on this Tuesday. Welcome to it. It's the Steve Gruber Show. You know, Paul Ryan is coming in as the Speaker of the House, but meet the new boss, just the same as the old boss, is my concern. John Boehner on his way out, and yet here they make this deal on a 2-year budget deal with basically unlimited spending. The president can just go, bury us in $25 trillion in debt, which is, it's just unconscionable, but nothing really changes. Meanwhile, they're all out there, fighting for other things like the Export-Import Bank and its resurrection. Christine Harbin Hanson here, the Deputy Director of Federal Affairs at Americans for Prosperity, to sort it out a bit. Christine, welcome back to the program.
Hey, Steve. Always great to be with you.
You know, nothing like a welfare handout to get you started, and they just can't walk away from them. They can't leave it be.
No, and this was an opportunity where Congress had was able to do the right thing by doing nothing. They had an opportunity to just let Export-Import Bank stay expired and to live up to their past promises on rating and spending. But unfortunately, what we're seeing in Congress right now as this debt deal comes together is a 2-year agreement that extends the Export-Import Bank and also blows through the spending caps.
Right. Well, and what spending caps anymore? Because I guess that's the point that I was making about the deal made now with the budget possibly. What spending caps? There is no sequestration. There is no break on anything. There is nothing but spending. And they don't care.
Yeah, and I think what many lawmakers overlook and many of their supporters on the left overlook is the fact that the federal government will still spend more on an absolute level, even under sequestration. What's really important about these spending caps, which, by the way, Congress and a bipartisan Congress and the White House agreed to back in 2010, the important thing is that they restrain the growth in spending. So what we hear is a lot of, doomsday predictions. We'll hear that the sky is falling, but last time around when the sequester did hit, all we got were some canceled White House tours. We're not going to see, the scenario that people play out.
No, we're not. And again, you look at, they can't cut anywhere. They can't bring themselves to save 5 cents anywhere. They're a bunch of feckless politicians who don't, and it doesn't matter. Republicans, Democrats, it doesn't seem to matter.
Well, what's really concerning is that when they do have little opportunities to save some money for taxpayers, they consistently fail to do so. And I think a prime example is what's happening here with the Export-Import Bank, which, by the way, is currently expired. All Congress has to do is let it stay expired. And this credit agency, which has been around since the 1930s, loses money for taxpayers. It loses $200 million a year. Now, in the grand scheme of things, as you know as well as I do, Steve, that's very small in terms of total Washington spending, but it's really important. It has a symbolic importance. And what we see here is people on Capitol Hill, we see members of Congress who are unwilling to let this handout for well-connected special interests stay expired, and instead they're including it in a backroom deal and extending it at the expense of taxpayers.
Yeah, let's be honest. $200 million, I don't care who you are. That's real money.
That's true.
That is real money that, it might be inconsequential to people that work in Washington, but for the real world, for those of us here in the flyover states, $200 million is a lot of jobs. It's a lot of infrastructure. It's a lot of opportunity. It's a lot of cheese, period.
Mm-hmm. That's true, and that's why Congress should do the right thing. It should let XM expire, but unfortunately we see two movements right now. One is on the House side. It's a little-known, esoteric backroom procedure. It's called a discharge petition. It's not even used every single Congress, and unfortunately we saw a lot of Michigan lawmakers sign up for it. They signed on to this discharge petition, signaling that they're willing to, many of them, buck their own party and the committee process in order to extend this handout. We saw an alarming number, including, I have a list in front of me here, Moulinar, Lawrence, Dingell, Kildee, Levin, Conyers. A concerning number of Michigan lawmakers are willing to extend it, and it's a problem because XM directly competes with Michigan businesses.
Yeah, but they don't care. It doesn't matter. It's big handouts for companies that generally don't need the money to begin with. Let me ask you this: any expectation, any hope that Paul Ryan will change the fortunes, the direction of the way we spend money in Washington?
Well, I do have a glimmer of hope. Paul Ryan has been a consistent opponent of extending XM. While I have some concerns about Ryan's past willingness to live up to spending agreements. After all, he authored the Ryan Murray budget deal from a few years ago that lifted the spending caps for 2 years. But he has come out and opposed the Export-Import Bank, and Americans for Prosperity has certainly applauded him for that. And we hope that as the incoming speaker, he continues to oppose XM and opposes efforts to include an XM extension into this debt ceiling deal that's coming together.
And I guess we're going to have to find out. I mean, Paul Ryan was kind of a hero for those on the conservative right when it came to fiscal policy and controlling our spending. But we'll see how he performs as Speaker of the House now that he has the lever of power closer, or actually in his hand now. I guess we'll see how he behaves. Christine, I greatly appreciate your time as always.
Thanks so much for having me on, Steve. Always great to talk with you.
There you have it. Christine Harbin, Hanson, everybody, from Americans for Prosperity. This hour of the Steve Gruber Show brought to you in part by Mesa. Good health, good business, and great schools. We'll be right back.
Michigan, born and raised with Midwestern values and Michigan common sense.
33 after the hour. Thanks for dialing it in. It's the Steve Gruber Show. Hey, if you'd like to join the conversation, please feel free. The hotline number is 888-900-9966. That's 888-900-9966. Common sense is strongly encouraged. Now, President Obama has taken the unusual step of vetoing the National Defense Authorization Act. It came as no surprise. His senior advisors had forecast this move for a long time. And indeed, the White House turned the veto into a photo op just to make sure it got plenty of attention. And as the photo op would suggest, the veto was about politics and just that's it. It's about politics. Make no mistake. Justin Johnson here, senior analyst for defense budgeting policy at the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for National Security and Foreign Policy. Justin, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
So, I mean, break it down for us. It's pretty clear that the president doesn't like some things. I mean, in my estimation, he would like to give Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, to the Cuban people, or government more accurately, as a wedding gift. And that's one of the things that's blocking his way. He doesn't have complete control of Guantanamo. He's got other problems, and so he vetoes this bill for politics. Am I wrong?
No, you've got it exactly right. This veto was primarily about one thing that you already mentioned. It was about domestic politics. It was about President Obama trying to get more leverage to increase the funding that he wants to increase. So non-defense things like the EPA, like the Department of Interior, a whole bunch of big Washington bureaucracies that he wants another pound of flesh for. The president did talk about the Guantanamo Bay provisions. He did talk about a few other things. And in fairness, it's pretty clear he doesn't like the restrictions on Guantanamo Bay, even though they've been passed by bipartisan majorities for every year that President Obama's been in office. But he's had to sign Guantanamo provisions in the past, and he's ended up doing it. This time around, I think it was primarily about he wants more money for his liberal priorities.
Which must be bankrupting the country, because apparently at $18.1 trillion, we're not nearly enough in debt. So let's just squander money elsewhere that we don't have on programs we can't afford to help people that don't care, that want to insult our country. Oh, I'm sorry. It sounds bitter when I say it that way, doesn't it?
No, but you're onto something. I mean, this bill is about defense. It's about setting priorities and budgets for our military. Our military under President Obama has been cut by about 15%, just in terms of numbers. At the same time, this portion of the budget that President Obama wants to increase, the non-defense discretionary, has gone up about 7%. So it's going up, defense is going down. If you lump in entitlements, which has expanded dramatically under President Obama, Obamacare and other things like that, then the increase for total social and economic spending, that's the large category it's called, has increased by over 30% under President Obama, again, while our military has been cut by 15%. So they're already going in the opposite direction, and President Obama wants to use defense for even more leverage to increase his priorities.
Well, but here we go. So as far as I can tell, the Republicans capitulated yesterday to a 2-year budget spending plan that basically throws all restrictions and restraints on increasing and spending out the window. it'll run us past $20 trillion in debt by the time this guy gets out of office. I don't believe that $20 trillion is a number that we can come back from. Most people don't. So at that point, you have to start to consider, okay, how do we get there? We bring in $250 to $280 billion a month in revenue, but $30 billion of it is already going out the door to interest payments. That number only increasing if the interest rate ever goes up, which it will. It's inevitable. It's mathematical surety. Then he will have left us with a country that is on the verge of bankruptcy. And you can't blame George W. Bush for that, now can you?
No, absolutely not. I mean, I'm sure President Obama would like to. He likes to blame President Bush for everything else.
Well, he doesn't take responsibility for his own actions ever, but go on.
No, but you're spot on. President Obama is leading us in the wrong direction on every possible issue. On national security, things have gotten worse and worse over the last 7 years that he's been in office. On fiscal policy, you just outlined the disastrous direction he's leading us in. On social policy, he's doing all kinds of crazy things. But again, on security, which is what I mostly work on, the world has gone significantly in the wrong direction. You talk to any of our friends and allies around the world, and they're very concerned about where the U.S. is going. Last week we saw Bashar al-Assad glad-handing with Vladimir Putin in Moscow. It's an example of all the disastrous things that President Obama's failed leadership is leading our country toward.
Yeah. And okay, so let me ask you this. And we're on the line with Justin Johnson from the Heritage Foundation. Big change coming later this week when it comes to Speaker of the House. Paul Ryan is finally going to step up and do this job. But then I see this deal put together by Boehner, to make sure that the president has, and is there some smart politics there? I suppose it takes the possibility of a government shutdown off the table for the next couple of years. But it also, like I said, it opens up the spending, takes the caps and restrictions off sequestration. It's an absolute joke. But it maybe allows the Republicans a path to the White House if they don't squander the possibility again.
Yeah, no, it's the politics are so complicated. My head is spinning right now, following all these different budget deals, following the speaker election. I think it's been clear that Speaker Boehner wanted to take this off the table for Paul Ryan to give him a better chance to start fresh. But the question, I think, for most conservatives, for most Republicans, is at what cost? Is this really a better deal than Paul Ryan and company could have struck in a month or two? I'm not sure. I mean, we're still digging into the details. It does increase defense a very small bit, but it also does, as you said, it blows through the debt ceiling. It does all kinds of things that we may not be worth the cost, and certainly on net, it's questionable about whether it improves the situation of our country.
Yeah, my question is, are you hopeful, at least to some modicum of hope, that Paul Ryan can at least change the narrative, change the direction, get us into a conversation heading possibly in the right direction?
I do think that Ryan is a breath of fresh air. He's, I've had the chance to work with him and his team pretty closely over the years, and he just has a really good ability to see the big picture. He knows that the entitlement problem is what's driving our country towards bankruptcy. He understands that probably better than anyone in Washington. He knows about the mess that our tax code is. He's been eager to try and change that. He understands he's negotiated with President Obama up close and personal, not necessarily always winning, but he's, I think, at least done a better job than the Republican leadership in Washington has. So for all those reasons, I don't think Paul Ryan has a good hand in terms of cards he's been dealt, but I think he is a uniquely gifted individual who might be able to make this bad situation a little bit better.
Well, I hope you're right. I don't know what my belief is as far as it's going to go, because I don't have any predictions. I have a small bit of hope, I guess, and I guess we'll see what happens there. I appreciate it, Justin Johnson. I appreciate you stopping in today.
Thanks for having me.
From the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for National Security and Foreign Policy, Justin Johnson, my friends. We'll be right back on the Steve Gruber Show.
Michigan, born and raised with Midwestern values and Michigan common sense.
I'll be honest with you. I have two kids that are of school age, and we enjoy the time that we have with them during the summer because, I mean, let's be honest, everybody's so busy anymore that the summer is the chance that you get to spend time with your kids and, you know, go fishing or enjoy all the things that Michigan has to offer. And if you listen to this program, you know that we spent a lot of time up in around the Lake Charlevoix area this past summer and had just an absolute ball in Boyne City and Charlevoix and East Jordan and Petoskey and that whole area. And now there's a bill that would say, let school start before Labor Day again. And I say, I don't like it a bit. But I guess there's reasons for it. But I think my next guest might be on my side, too. Steve Yencich, the president and CEO of the Michigan Lodging and Tourism Association, on the line with us. Steve, welcome back to the program.
Happy to join you, Steve.
You know, I love summer. I love Michigan summers specifically. And like I said, I had the greatest summer of my life with Ivy and the kids spending time up around Lake Charlevoix and so forth. And I don't want school to start sometime before Labor Day. Am I out to lunch?
I don't think so at all, Steve. As a matter of fact, we did a poll of the likely 2016 voters, and as that poll has found in many years past, 72% support opening schools after Labor Day. And then we kind of wondered, well, it happened on Labor Day was September 7th. That pushes it pretty deep into the calendar year. What's the level of support at that point? And we found even there a landslide majority of people, voters, support opening schools after Labor Day, 64%. And that poll also found that, we always wondered, so what's the most favorite month? Is it July or August? And much to my surprise, it was August by 7 points.
It is.
A lot of support out there.
Yeah, August is just in up north this year for us. It was nothing short of spectacular. It really wasn't. It was an incredible month, and that's where we want to spend our time. And I don't want to be running back and buying school supplies on the 20th of August to try to get the kids to school. So, whoever came up with this idea, get them in here. I need to slap some sense into them.
Well, it's we understand to school districts, it's an issue of local control, and we understand and respect that. But the fact remains there are over 1,200 mandates, regulations, and laws that school districts must adhere to. And to bring themselves into compliance with that, they use local control to see, do they want to extend the school year a little deeper into June? Do they want to collapse some of their teacher workshops? Do they want to add a few minutes to each school day? And they can bring themselves into compliance with this statute just as they do with those 1,200 other statutes and regulations.
All right, so and I think you're right, and if they change it, I'm going to be. Well, my kids are just going to be skipping school. That's all for the first few days of the school year. I mean, it's just the way it's going to have to be because I'm telling you, the memories and the life that we spend, and millions of people in Michigan. Those last few days of August, my God, they're perfect. I mean, they're the perfect days to enjoy the weather, the water, everything. And why I wouldn't want to sacrifice that. But having said that, let's shift gears a little bit if we may. It's been a wonderful fall across this state. One of the best I can ever remember, Steve, to be honest with you. The fall color still holding on. It's been in the mid-50s to 60 degrees across much of the state the last couple of days again. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this. And if you ever want to explain to somebody, why do you love Michigan? Well, this last 30 days is a pretty good example.
No doubt about that. As a matter of fact, a lot of people think that, New England area has greater colors, and that's simply not the case.
No.
Travel Michigan has been out with the Pure Michigan campaign promoting the fall color season. It's a tremendous opportunity to get out and just see the beauty and the scenery of this state. And also, you can kind of spend a little time scouting out next summer's vacation spot, too. So, wonderful time of the year for travel.
And as we head into the fall, or the end of the fall and into winter, obviously a lot. It used to be. I mean, I remember the license plate used to say Winter Wonderland, right? I mean, that's what Michigan was, the Winter Wonderland, and it still is. We just don't put it on our license plates anymore. But come on, it's going to be trail riding on snow machines. It's going to be downhill skiing. It's for the hardy souls. It's ice fishing, and that's me once in a while. But I mean, there's a lot of great fun to be found in Michigan when there's a blanket of snow as well.
Absolutely. Cross-country skiing, downhill skiing. Not a whole lot of people understand that Michigan I think is second only to the state of New York in terms of the number of ski resorts that we enjoy here. And, it's a wonderful opportunity to get out there and do some tubing, to do some snowboarding, wonderful family time. So, yeah, we've got 3 tremendous seasons. Spring's a little muddy, but it's a great time to get out and about as well. But we've got a wonderful state. Let's get out and enjoy it.
Absolutely. And just be careful out there, boys and girls. I'll tell you that because last year I was tubing on the snow, and I might have gotten bounced out of the tube and tumbled down the hill and maybe had to walk a little slower for a couple of days. I'm not 21 anymore. But, I don't care. The kids loved it. I loved it. We do it every year, and I'll do it again this year. Just, you're not 21. I'm not 21 anymore. Use your head, right?
Absolutely. I've found that to be true. You bounce off that inner tube. It's not so soft when you hit the ground.
No, and you don't bounce up quite as quick as you did when you were a few years younger. I'll tell you that. But, it's those kind of memories that the kids remember. It's those kind of lifetime events that you giggle about and laugh about with your kids and your grandkids, and you share that on through the generations, and I think that's why Michigan is such a special place. Anything that comes to mind of a place you think we should visit in the next couple of months that should be on our bucket list here in Michigan?
Well, I would just share one quick observation about what you were just talking about. The opportunity to generate family memories on weekend travel, on leisure travel time during the fall, winter, and certainly during the summer. Our kids stay with us for such a short period of time, and when you get out and experience this great state, you generate memories that last forever. You go out and buy something, it falls out of style, it wears out, it gets used up. But these memories are memories that last a lifetime. In terms of getting out and about, I would just recommend people get to the Sunrise side, to the West Coast side, go up the middle of the state. And, the UP is beautiful any time of year. Yeah,
you got that right. That's why it was rated, I think, USA Today, the #1 best place that's kept secret. Anyhow, Steve Yencich, always a pleasure, my friend, and thanks for stopping in.
Thanks so much, Steve.
Steve Yencich, President and CEO of the Michigan Lodging and Tourism Association. Please, let school start after Labor Day. My personal plea to the state lawmakers. It's the Steve Gruber Show.